In the endless, silent dark between galaxies where stars are born and stars die, a message traveled. It was a whisper across the void, carrying hope, desperation, and the one thing humanity had searched for over centuries: proof. Proof that we were not alone. This is the story of how the children of Earth answered a call from another galaxy, a call that would forever change our understanding of survival, of courage, and what it truly means to be human. Captain Yuna Han cherished the quiet hours before dawn. Standing on the lunar observation deck, she watched her home, the Earth, a beautiful blue marble spinning silently below. After 12 years in the United Defense Fleet, she knew these moments of peace were precious and fleeting. Suddenly her communicator crackled to life. "Captain Han, we need you in the analysis room immediately." It was Dr. Sienna Ko, the station's brilliant lead astrophysicist. Her voice, usually calm and measured, now held a tremor of pure excitement. Yuna moved through the station's corridors, her military discipline keeping her pace steady, even as her mind raced. In the analysis room, she found Sienna bathed in the glow of holographic displays, all showing cascading streams of data pulsing in a perfect rhythmic pattern. "Sienna, what am I looking at?" Yuna asked, her eyes fixed on the central screen. Sienna finally looked away from the data, her face alight with discovery. 3 hours ago, our deep space array picked this up. It's coming from Andromeda. At first I thought it was just a glitch, but Captain, this is no malfunction, this is intelligent design. Yuna saw it too. The structure, the deliberate repetition. It was unmistakable. "An artificial signal," she breathed. "Not just artificial," Sienna said, pulling up another screen filled with translated text. "Urgent. I've run it through every linguistic algorithm we have. The message repeats 3 core elements: distress, an extinction level threat, and this specific phrase." She pointed to words glowing in ominous red. "Request aid from the ones who survive the deadly world." A chill ran down Yuna's spine. They know about Earth. Sienna's correction was even more stunning. They know about us specifically. "Captain, they're calling Earth a death world. They've been observing us and they've classified our planet as exceptionally hostile. To the rest of the galaxy, we're the monsters." Humanity had spent generations looking up at the stars, wondering if anyone else was out there. Now it seemed the galaxy had been looking back, and had been deliberately keeping its distance. Until now. "How far is the signal coming from?" Yuna asked. 2.5 million light-years, Sienna replied. "Andromeda. Captain, whoever sent this is desperate. They crossed intergalactic space just to reach us." Within hours, the quiet lunar station became the frantic center of the human universe. Shuttles arrived from Earth, carrying the world's leaders. Yuna soon found herself in a crowded conference room where the fate of humanity was being debated. Defense Minister Pak Junho slammed his hand on the table. "This could be a trap. We reveal ourselves and we paint a target on Earth. We've stayed hidden for a reason." "With all due respect, Minister," Sienna countered, "the signal contains mathematical principles we haven't even discovered yet. This is genuine." President Yoshida Kenji, a small man with eyes that missed nothing, raised a hand for silence. "Dr. Ko, what does the message say about the threat they face?" Sienna brought up a holographic display. "They call it the Void Collective, a force that consumes entire civilizations. Their conventional weapons have failed. They're specifically asking for help from beings evolved on high-gravity, high-danger worlds. They believe we have traits that they lack." Admiral Torres, the fleet commander, leaned forward. "What traits?" "Adaptability under pressure," Yuna answered, her voice cutting through the room. "If their world was a paradise, they evolved for optimization, not for survival. Earth gave us earthquakes, predators, disease. We learned to adapt or die." The debate raged for hours, but in the end, President Yoshida stood. "We will respond," he declared. "Humanity has always answered calls for help. It is who we are." The decision was made. Earth would send its first intergalactic vessel. Admiral Torres looked directly at Yuna. "Captain Han, You will command this mission. Select your crew. You will represent the very best of what makes us human." Yuna nodded, the weight of history settling on her shoulders. She would need the best scientists, the toughest soldiers, the most ingenious engineers. She would need a crew forged in the crucible of a death world. 3 days later, Yuna stood before the Vanguard, humanity's first experimental fold-space vessel. It was a beautiful, terrifying marvel of engineering. Navigator Dex Ortiz, the best pilot in the fleet, appeared beside her. "Impressive, isn't she?" he said with a grin. "It's our ticket to either making history or becoming a cautionary tale," Yuna replied. Chief Engineer Rowan Blake joined them, wiping grease from his hands. "She's ready. The fold drive will get us to Andromeda in 3 weeks instead of millions of years. Of course, we might also explode, but hey, I'm an honest guy. This ship is the finest thing we've ever built. She'll get us there." The crew assembled, 47 specialists from 12 nations, each a master of their craft, each possessing unshakable mental resilience. Yuna stood before them. "We're about to do something no human has ever done," she told them. "We're leaving our galaxy to face a threat we can't comprehend. I won't lie to you, some of us may not return, but we're going because someone asked for our help. We're going to show the universe what Deathworlders can do." The Vanguard launched at dawn. On Earth, millions watched as the ship accelerated into the black, its experimental drive glowing with power. Then, in a flash of impossible twisted light, it vanished. Inside, Yuna gripped her command chair as reality warped around them. The view screen showed colors and shapes that defied physics. They were in the space between spaces. "Fold drive stable," Rowan reported from engineering. "We're actually doing it, Captain. We're crossing to another galaxy." Yuna allowed herself a small, determined smile. There was no turning back. Whatever awaited them in Andromeda, salvation or destruction, humanity was committed. The children of the deadly world were coming, and the universe would never be the same. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey. If you enjoyed this story and want to see what happens next, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more tales from the far reaches of space. We'll see you in the next one. The Vanguard sailed through folded space like a needle threading through dimensions, carrying Earth's hopes across an impossible distance. Captain Yunahan spent most of her waking hours on the bridge, watching the distorted reality outside their vessel. She had read every report about theoretical fold travel, but nothing prepared her for the actual experience of existing between galaxies. "Captain, you need to eat something." Medical Officer Lena Cross appeared beside her command chair, holding a meal tray. Lena was petite with sharp green eyes that missed nothing about crew health. "You've been here for 16 hours straight." Yuna accepted the tray with a grateful nod. "Have you checked on the rest of the crew? How are they handling the journey?" "Better than expected, actually," Lena said, settling into the secondary seat. "A few cases of spatial disorientation, but nothing serious. Humans are remarkably adaptable, though I suspect that's exactly why we got the invitation." "Invitation makes it sound friendly," Tactical Officer Jin Park commented from his station. Jin was lean and precise, with reflexes honed by years in combat simulations. "We're flying into a war zone based on a distress call from beings we've never met." "Exactly the kind of terrible idea humans excel at," Dex Ortiz added from navigation, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. "Personally, I'm excited to see what qualifies as dangerous to species that consider Earth a death world." Dr. Sienna Coe looked up from her science station, where she had been analyzing the alien message for the 100th time. "I've been thinking about that. What if our entire perception of danger is skewed? We evolved with predators, disease, natural disasters. We learned to fight, flee, or endure. Most intelligent life probably evolved in stable environments. They might be brilliant but fragile. Like living glass sculptures." Rowan Blake's voice crackled through the ship's communication system from engineering. "Beautiful and complex, but one good hit and they shatter." The conversation was interrupted by a sudden violent shudder that threw Yuna against her restraints. Alarms screamed across every console as the ship bucked like a living thing. "What's happening?" Yuna demanded, fighting to maintain her seat. Dex's hands flew across his controls, his casual demeanor vanishing. "Something's disrupting the fold field. It's like we hit turbulence, except that shouldn't be possible in folded space. Fold drive stability dropping. Rowan reported, his voice tight with concern. 70% and falling. Captain, if we drop below 40%, we'll be forced back into normal space. Una gripped her armrests. Can we navigate around it? I'm trying, but the disruption is tracking us, Dex said, disbelief coloring his voice. Captain, this isn't natural. Something is following us through folded space. The ship shuddered again, harder this time. Lights flickered as power systems strained under the assault. Through the view screens, the distorted colors of folded space began swirling into patterns that almost resembled shapes. Captain, I'm detecting a signal embedded in the disruption, Sienna called out, her voice cutting through the chaos. It's repeating. Let me filter it through translation. Words appeared on the main screen, fragmented and incomplete, but readable. Death World vessel. Turn back, this galaxy falls. You cannot help. Save yourselves. Well, that's ominous, Jin muttered, his hands hovering over weapon controls. Una made her decision instantly. Rowan, divert all available power to fold drive. Dex, plot the most direct course to our destination. We're not turning back. Captain, with all respect, maybe we should consider the warning, Lena suggested carefully. No. Una's voice carried absolute certainty. Someone crossed galaxies to ask for help, and now something is trying to scare us away. That tells me we're needed even more than we thought. Full power, Chief Blake. Aye, Captain. Routing power now. This is either brilliant or suicidal. Often the same thing, Una replied. The Vanguard surged forward as its engines received the power boost. The disruptions continued, battering the ship like waves against a cliff. But Dex navigated with skill born from years of impossible maneuvers. Hour after hour, they fought through the hostile space, the crew working with seamless coordination. Finally, after 6 brutal hours, the disruptions faded. The ship emerged into calmer fold space, damaged but intact. Status report, Una ordered, releasing a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Minor hull damage, nothing critical, Rowan reported. Fold drive is stable again. We're bruised but functional. That was a warning shot, Jin said quietly. Whatever sent that message wanted us afraid, not dead. It could have hit us harder. Sienna nodded, studying the data she had collected. The pattern was too controlled to be random. Something intelligent tried to turn us around without destroying us. The question is whether it was trying to protect us or protect itself from us. Either way, we keep going, Una decided. We're 12 days from arrival. Everyone get some rest. I want the crew sharp when we reach Andromeda. The remaining journey passed intense anticipation. The crew trained for every scenario they could imagine, though they all knew they were preparing for the unknown. Una spent long hours in strategy sessions with Jin and the security team, while Sienna and her scientists theorized about alien technology and biology. On the final day of transit, Una gathered her senior officers in the briefing room. A holographic display showed their destination, a star system at the edge of Andromeda. We'll emerge at the system's outer boundary, she explained. Priority 1 is information gathering. We assess the situation before we engage. Understood? Everyone nodded except Jin, who leaned forward with a serious expression. Captain, what if we arrive too late? That distress call is months old. Then we learn what happened and carry that knowledge back to Earth, Una replied. But I don't think we're too late. Something tried to scare us away, which means there's still something here worth protecting. The final countdown began. The crew took their positions, each person focused and ready. Una stood on the bridge, feeling the weight of Earth behind her and the unknown ahead. Transition to normal space in 10 seconds, Dex announced. 987. The numbers counted down like a heartbeat. Una's hand tightened on her command chair. 321. Transition now. The view screens flared brilliant white, then resolved into normal space filled with stars. But it wasn't the beauty of space that caught everyone's attention. It was the chaos directly ahead. Dozens of ships fled through the system, their hulls bearing scorch marks and gaping wounds. They were pursued by vessels unlike anything in human databases, ships that seemed to shift and flow rather than maintain solid form, their surfaces rippling like liquid metal under oil-slick rainbows. Life signs detected on the fleeing vessels, Sienna reported, her voice tight. Multiple species. The pursuing craft show readings that don't match any known technology. Captain, they're not fully physical. They're phasing between dimensions. Weapons fire detected, Jin called out. The hostile vessels are using some kind of spatial distortion weapons. They're tearing those ships apart. As they watched, one of the fleeing vessels took a direct hit. Its hull simply ceased to exist where the weapon struck, as if reality itself had been erased. The ship broke apart silently in the vacuum, bodies and debris scattering into space. "Captain?" Dex looked at her, waiting for orders. Una stood, her decision already made. Every instinct told her this was wrong, that they were outmatched and unprepared. But instinct was exactly what made humans Deathworlders. They didn't run from danger. They ran toward it when someone needed help. "Battle stations," she ordered calmly. "Communications, try to hail both groups. Tactical, target the attacking vessels only. Navigation, get us between the refugees and their pursuers." "Captain, we don't know what we're facing," Lena protested. "No, we don't," Una agreed. "But we know who needs help." "That's enough. The Vanguard is a Deathworld ship with a Deathworld crew. Let's show them what that means." The Vanguard accelerated toward the battle, its weapons coming online with a hum that resonated through the hull. Earth's first vessel in Andromeda was going to war, and Una Han felt a fierce pride in her chest. They had come when called. Now they would do what humans did best: fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves, no matter the odds. The Vanguard cut through space like a blade, closing the distance between the fleeing refugees and their pursuers, with speed that made the damaged alien vessels look stationary by comparison. Captain Una Han felt her pulse steady as combat protocols took over, the same calm clarity that had earned her command falling into place like armor. "Range in 30 seconds, Jin Park announced, his targeting systems already locked on the nearest hostile vessel. The shifting, flowing craft seemed to pulse with an otherworldly rhythm, its surface defying physics in ways that made human eyes ache to observe. "Communications, any response to our hails?" Una asked. "Nothing from the hostiles, Captain," the communications officer replied. "But we're receiving a burst transmission from the largest refugee ship." "Translation coming through now." A voice filled the bridge, musical and strange, carrying harmonics that human vocal cords could never produce. The translator rendered it into Korean with an odd, lilting quality. "Unknown vessel, please flee. The Void Collective cannot be fought with conventional weapons. They exist between states of matter. Save yourselves while you can." "Conventional weapons." Rowan Blake's voice came through from engineering, thoughtful despite the tension. "Captain, maybe that's the point. Maybe we're not conventional." Una understood immediately. Earth's weapons were designed for a planet where survival meant adapting to countless threats. Humans built redundancy into everything because failure meant extinction. "Jin, prepare full weapons spread. Kinetic, energy, and chemical payloads. Let's see how these things handle Earth's entire violent history at once." "With pleasure, Captain." The Vanguard crossed into weapons range, and Una gave the order without hesitation. Fire. The ship unleashed devastation. Railgun rounds traveled at fractions of light speed. Simple chunks of dense metal accelerated to kinetic nightmares. Pulse lasers followed, frequencies calibrated for maximum energy transfer. Then came the missiles, each carrying payloads designed to function in vacuum, atmosphere, underwater, anything Earth's engineers could imagine. The nearest Void Collective vessel tried to phase, its form rippling as it attempted to slip between dimensions. The railgun rounds passed through empty space where it had been, but the lasers caught it mid-transition, burning into matter that was neither solid nor energy. The creature, if it could be called that, solidified involuntarily, and the missile struck its now physical form. The explosion lit up the darkness like a miniature star. "Direct hit," Jin reported, disbelief and satisfaction mixing in his voice. "Target destroyed. Captain, it couldn't phase while under continuous fire. We forced it to stay physical. All vessels acquire new targets," Una ordered. "Continuous fire, no gaps. Don't let them slip away." The Vanguard's weapon systems, designed by humans who understood that predators came in countless forms, proved devastatingly effective. Each Void Collective vessel that approached found itself hammered by overlapping fields of fire that gave it no chance to phase safely. The attacking force, which had been efficiently destroying the refugee fleet moments before, suddenly found itself on the defensive. "They're adapting," Sienna warned from her station. "The remaining vessels are changing formation, trying to attack from multiple angles." "Then we adapt faster," Una replied. "Dex, evasive pattern Delta 7. Jin, split targeting across 3 vessels simultaneously. If they want multiple angles, we'll show them how a Deathworld ship handles tactical complexity." What followed was a dance of destruction, That would have been impossible for most species. The Vanguard moved with acceleration that would have liquefied crews evolved on gentler worlds. Dex threw the ship through maneuvers that defied conventional space combat, spinning and diving like a fighter craft despite the vessel's size. Human reflexes, honed by millions of years of avoiding predators and catching prey, translated perfectly to three-dimensional combat. Jin's targeting solutions came faster than the Void Collective could process. He didn't just shoot at where targets were, he predicted where they would be, accounting for their phasing patterns with intuition, born from hunting instincts coded into human DNA. "Captain, the refugee ships are moving," Lena called out, monitoring the sensor feeds. "They're forming up behind us. I think we're becoming their shield." "Good," Una said. "That's exactly where they should be. Communications tell them to prepare for fold space transit. We're getting them out of here." The battle raged for 17 more minutes. The Void Collective vessels, faced with an opponent they couldn't simply overwhelm, began to retreat. Several tried one final coordinated assault, phasing in simultaneously around the Vanguard. Jin had predicted it, weapons already swinging to target points in empty space. When the hostile ships materialized, they found themselves in overlapping kill zones. The last Void Collective vessel fled, damaged and flickering back into the depths of the system. Silence fell across the bridge, broken only by the soft beeping of cooling weapon systems and the steady hum of the engines. The crew sat motionless for a moment, processing what they had just accomplished. They had fought beings from another galaxy and won. "Damage report," Una finally said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. "Shields at 42%, minor hull scoring, all primary systems functional," Rowan reported. "Captain, we just fought interdimensional enemies and came out with scratches. I'm not sure whether to be proud or terrified." "Be both," Una replied. "It keeps you sharp." "Communications, are the refugee ships responding?" "Yes, Captain. The largest vessel is requesting permission to dock. They want to meet us directly." Una exchanged glances with her senior officers. This was it. The moment humanity had imagined for centuries. First contact not with explorers or diplomats, but with refugees they had just saved from destruction. "Permission granted. Sienna, Jin, Lena, you're with me. Dex, you have the bridge. Stay alert. There might be more of those things out there." The docking process took 30 minutes. During that time, Sienna's instruments gathered data about the alien vessel, revealing construction techniques and materials far beyond human technology. Yet, for all its advancement, the ship was crippled, barely holding together. "They're so much more advanced than us in some ways," Sienna murmured, studying the readings. "But Captain, look at this. Their hull is optimized for efficiency, not durability. One good hit and it tears like paper. They never evolved thinking about redundancy or armor." "Because they never needed to," Una replied. "Their worlds didn't try to kill them every day." The airlock cycled and Una led her team into the alien vessel. The corridor beyond was beautiful, walls that seemed grown rather than built, surfaces that reflected light in prismatic patterns. But it was also damaged, with cracks running through crystalline structures and flickering illumination. They were met by a being that took Una's breath away. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, its body composed of what looked like living crystal, translucent and shifting with internal light. Its features were elegant, almost delicate, and Una understood immediately how wrong their world must seem to these creatures. "I am Crystallis," the being said. Its voice, like wind chimes, made words. "Observer and keeper of what remains of my people. You came. Against all probability, the Deathworlders actually came." Una bowed, a gesture of respect that seemed appropriate. "I am Captain Una Han of Earth. We received your distress call. I'm sorry we couldn't arrive sooner." Crystallis made a sound that might have been laughter or weeping. "Sooner? You crossed between galaxies in weeks and fought the Void Collective like they were minor irritants. My people have been fleeing them for cycles, losing system after system. In 17 of your minutes, you accomplished what our entire military could not in years." "We had an advantage," Una said carefully. "Our weapons, our tactics, they're built from harder lessons than you've known." "Your entire species is a weapon," Crystallis replied, but there was no fear in its voice, only wonder. "I have studied your world from our archives. Earth, a Class 12 death world. Crushing gravity, violent weather, tectonic chaos, aggressive biosphere. You should not have developed intelligence there. You should have gone extinct. Instead, you thrived. Jin spoke up, his tactical mind making connections. The Void Collective, they're adapted to fighting civilizations like yours. Efficient, optimized, elegant. But we're none of those things. We're redundant, aggressive, and we over-engineer everything because we expect failure. Precisely, Crystallis agreed. They phase between dimensions to avoid damage. But your weapons fire continuously, forcing them to remain physical. They rely on precision strikes. You saturate entire volumes of space with projectiles. They evolved to fight intelligently. You evolved to survive desperately. Lena, who had been quietly scanning the alien with her medical equipment, looked up with concern. Crystallis, your people are injured. May I help? I'm a doctor. The crystalline being's form shimmered with what might have been emotion. You would heal us? After we brought you across galaxies into danger? That's what doctors do, Lena replied simply. May I? What followed over the next hours was a revelation for both species. Lena discovered that while the aliens were technologically superior in many ways, they had almost no concept of emergency medicine because their peaceful evolution meant serious injuries were rare. Human medical techniques developed from millennia of treating everything from animal attacks to industrial accidents proved surprisingly effective even on crystalline biology. Meanwhile, Sienna worked with the alien scientists, sharing data about the Void Collective. The picture that emerged was grim. The hostile force had been consuming Andromeda system by system, adapting to each civilization's defenses perfectly, because those defenses were all variations on the same theme: elegant, efficient, logical. They never encountered anything like us, Sienna told Yuna later, as they stood in the Vanguard's observation deck, watching the refugee fleet reorganize under their protection. Every civilization they've fought evolved on gentle worlds. They're brilliant but fragile. The Void Collective learned to counter brilliance and exploit fragility. And then we showed up, Yuna said quietly. Not brilliant, not fragile. Just stubborn and violent and too stupid to know when we're outmatched. Is that what you think we are? Sienna asked, smiling slightly. Yuna looked out at the damaged ships, at beings who had survived against impossible odds just to ask for help from strangers. No, I think we're what evolution builds when it needs survivors instead of optimizers. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what this galaxy needs right now. A message came through from Crystallis. The Refugee Council wanted to meet with Yuna and her officers. They had a proposal, one that could change the course of the war. As Yuna prepared to return to the alien flagship, she felt something she hadn't expected. Hope. Humanity had answered the call. They had fought and won, and now standing between the stars with the weight of 2 galaxies on their shoulders, they would show the universe what Deathworlders could truly accomplish. The meeting would determine everything, but Yunahan walked toward it with her head high. Earth had sent its best, and its best had proven worthy of the trust placed in them. Whatever came next, they would face it the same way humans always had, together, stubborn and absolutely refusing to surrender.